Hi everyone. Now I'm just going to go sleep in a while, but before I go to sleep, I'm going to make this video so that I can actually I can just get it recorded, and then tomorrow I'll probably do some editing, maybe by just by placing some image, while I can actually uh, insert the image and everything so that the audio isn't so boring, or else it will just be a black screen. And I wanted to actually just make this quick video to encourage those who are still struggling with something. It could be just after a particular relationship or some abusive situation. And yeah, as we all know, I have actually made this particular video about my own experience with the narcissistic relationship that I was in quite a number of years ago. And I mean, I made it in around, I think, 2018. Yeah, sometime around then. That was about 2 years after that relationship with that particular narcissist in 2016. Yeah, but I had known the narcissist around since 2015. So the whole cycle is actually, from first knowing a narcissist down through to that relationship, the beginning in 2016, then the whole thing, which didn't last for more than just a few months, maybe 3 months. And from the way I counted it, it was really just like a time discard. So everything seemed pretty much, from the analysis of the timeline, everything, it looks very much planned. Yeah, planned and also intentional. It was meant to just break me so that I could be removed as a form of like either rivalry or competition. And as I've actually told one Korean friend, back then, like when during the last trip that I made to Seoul, and also I mean other parts of South Korea during this July. The thing is that I actually view that particular relationship not with a lot of any joy or any, not even with any nostalgic recall, because it was more like a hostage situation. Yeah, it was every bit a hostage situation. I use different terms, like manipulation ship, situation shit. Okay. uh but the most appropriate one was actually, other than situationship, was also like hostage situation. Yeah, because I remember that I was telling someone, not just someone, of quite a number of people, including friends, that I felt that the whole fear of the narcissist was always there in the middle of that few months of the relationship. And even after that, I had always had that kind of fear. That fear stopped me from doing a lot of things. But I mean, very thankfully, right now I don't feel that kind of thing. I mean, I still have those concerns about bumping into the narcissist, the ex abuser, but very thankfully, I know that no matter what, I can't let people ruin my life, stop me from experiencing what I really want to do. And also, yeah, it's just very counterproductive to actually let them have the power. So I just wanted to actually get out this message that I actually told a friend. I think about, was it today or yesterday? I think it was yesterday. Yeah. When I bumped into him in the gym, I was talking to him about this experience. And what did I actually say? Yeah, I remember that he looked kind of stressed over work, so I was just trying to comfort him and give him some perspective, as he kind of knew what I went through and everything. And so then I just told him about how these people, like these narcissists, actually steal our lives. They claim that they're not interested in whatever we are doing there. That's what they always claim. But later on, you realize that they're actually copying you and competing. They're secretly or even ostentatiously copying and competing with you. And these are the worst narcissists. Okay, they say that you're not interested, but actually they really really do mind what you're doing, and they hate it when you're actually doing well. Okay, so anytime you come across someone like that, that it's like you have a rival, a competitor, someone who just can't stand you doing well, but they just don't want to tell you that, because you know what, it will show the person that they are, that they really are not on your side, and they don't want that. Okay, so but what I told that friend of mine was this, I told him, okay, what did I say? His name is Edmund, but I just said, you know what? Sometimes we are actually much better than we think we are. Okay, this is what I want to get out there. We are better than what we think we are. Okay, a lot of our perceptions of ourselves, these perceptions were all tainted when we were with the narcissist, and even after the breakup, the discard. I mean, regardless of what kind of nature of the relationship, whether it's romantic, between friends, family, or even business associates, doesn't matter. Okay, the thing is that we have this tendency to think that this particular judgment, their negative criticisms of us, their attacks, whatever, we think that they are true. And even after, you see, even before that, normally we tend to have certain things about ourselves. We don't feel secure about ourselves. Okay, all these insecurities. And during the relationship with them, we end up feeling even worse. Okay, and then after the discard or even after breaking up with them, whatever, whether it's a friend or romantic partner, we end up thinking that we are not good enough. Okay, but I just told that friend of mine, that we are actually way, way more, much better, okay, than we think we are. Okay, why do I say that? I gave you an example of what I was doing, okay, during the time when I was actually in South Korea. Okay, the first week, I had actually a few photo shoots. I always do these kind of things. I make sure I do about a few photo shoots, not an awful lot, maybe two or three. Okay, and then it's like once every year, just to keep record of my physique and my how I am, everything. So I just want to make sure that I'm on track, and that I also, there's gonna be a lot of like photoshopping and everything that happens with Korean photography, everything. So I'm not really worried, even if I'm not always improving, or sometimes if I'm regressing. But that aside, I was like thinking, during that shoot in one particular studio, was like Studio Helix. The photographer actually, the photographer is actually a very, very, to be honest, he used to work with Studio Avec, which was a studio which shot or covered the uh, contestants for Mr. International Korea. So all these professional photographers, they're really, really skilled. And the thing is that that particular photographer in that studio, he is now working with a different studio. He's not working with Avec anymore, but he just said something. What was that thing? He asked me my profession, what I do, and then what do I major in university. Just part of the whole kind of like an interview or discussion or meeting before the whole shoot starts, and also so that he knows exactly how I look like, because he had an idea of what I wanted to do in terms of like shoots and everything, the concept, but he saw that certain kind of based on what he saw of me in real person, as opposed to the update photos that he received. He thought that I would probably suit something else better. So yeah, we did something different, okay, from what I actually initially wanted to do. So, and yeah, and but the thing was this, okay, when I did those two things, those two concepts, okay, there's something that he did at the end of it, when we actually finished the shoot, and then I'm supposed to actually go and like select or highlight, or that, yeah, basically to shortlist the number of photos that I wanted to be edited among all the different proofs. Okay, and he said something in Korean that was like, you know what, you're gonna look very cool from these photos. Like, actually, the term in Korean is like moshita. Yeah, moshita is like a how do you actually translate that into English? It was something like attractive, cool. It's a very nuanced vocabulary or phrase. So when you say moshita, it's not exactly the same as like chaosenkyota. Chaosenkyota is handsome, but he said something like moshita. Moshita can mean a few more things other than just being good looking. It means very, very cool and attractive, very charming kind of thing. So uh, that was the kind of thing. The thing is that, of course, I guess that in all honesty, all photographers, when they actually shoot their models, they want to actually do, they're doing business with you, other than having you as their customer, so that you can actually give a good review, everything. um the fact that he said that kind of like suddenly made me realize, that I think that he has no need to try to butter me up because, let's be honest, if there's going to be a lot of work that's going to be done, like, if I'm actually not exactly getting into good form on the day itself, my skin is not good. I mean, I will know, okay? I knew it for one shoot last year, okay? For some strange reason, I had retained water on that day, so I wasn't fat, but it was just like my definition lines were getting a bit blurred out. And the professor, not the professor, the professor photographer told me that, he said that your case for my case, there's a lot of light that's reflecting because of the absence of a tan. I kind of like I scrub off the remaining bits of the tan which are fading off, and it wasn't really in time for me to get another spray tan because the prior spray tan was like fading off everything. It would look very ugly. So yeah, people like other people had told me, like even the prior photographers just told me, don't get any more texture tan because it's gonna make it look very much worse. Okay, I guess it's true actually, based on experience. But for all things that happened on the day itself, for that shoot last year, I retained water on the day itself. So the thing is, there had to be a lot of work done, and then it took way longer than usual. But I mean, the photographer would just let you know, okay. But this time around, he just said it would be very cool, and he just said that he gave me a timeline. Timeline was actually meant to be like 50 days from the day of the shoot, so which is actually today, around today, yeah, 50 to 54 days. And I just remember that what he said, like, you look very cool, very charismatic, whatever. Of course, it might sound like he's trying to do some business with me or whatever and everything. It wasn't a very cheap shoot because it was among one of the more premium studios for body profile shoots. But it kind of made me realize, I've been doing all this for quite a number of years since I was competing, or even when I'm not competing, I'm still doing it. And of course, there are some really bad experiences, such as the one with that one who actually the one photographer, not really a photographer, it's like who assaulted me, and it was a very bad experience that led me to actually file a police report this year. But I mean, it didn't end up in anything. But I'm still safe, obviously, right now because this is the thing, the law will still protect me as the victim. But I just kind of realized this one thing. The thing is this. Just take away all this trauma that I experienced, the fact that I'm recovering, whatever. But I can't realize this, that I told my friend this just yesterday. You have no idea that how much better. I had no idea myself how much better I was than what I thought about myself. Because for years, even after doing all this shit, sometimes I'll be thinking, I have to rely a lot on the photographer to, of course, to make it better with the lighting, with the editing and everything. But it's not just about that because one senior citizen, the uncle in the gym, had told me this thing. He said, if you're not even that good anyway, if you didn't even have a baseline to begin with, Photoshop and all this will look really, really unnatural. Okay, yeah, let's just say that if you are really, really out of shape, then the person just does all this editing and to make you look so different, it's gonna look so unnatural. And I kind of know because I'm able to compare how I looked, like when I was before the shoot started, when I just took a little bit of an update photo and a selfie in the mirror, and then a reel 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 in again in the mirror as well, and this different things. And I wasn't that bad, actually, to be honest. I also had taken pictures the day before and even the day after. I know my condition was not even bad at all. My condition was in fact very good, and that was why people told me, you can actually consider competing in maybe like a few months after this. I can't realize one thing though, and that was after the thing I realized, I've been beating myself up for the last few years, just because I think, oh, what if that ex-abuser is doing so well. But one thing is this, why do we tie ourselves to these people? We don't need to do that. We should stop tying ourselves to them and just remember, we are really, really way better than what we think we are. Okay, because those things that we thought about ourselves, some of them are actually being shaped by the abuser, the narcissist, evaluations of us. Some of them are like, things that they planted in our heads. It's part of the so-called brainwashing. Okay. Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about brainwashing as well, because today I was talking to one of my former students from tuition and everything, that he's not like free now because he's in polytechnic, and he wants to redo his O-level English, but he said that he just doesn't have time. And so I mean it's not an issue. I'm not forcing him to have tuition with me, and I was just doing a check-in to make sure he's okay. We are kind of like friends. So I just told him, I was talking about the people who do OnlyFans, and who do this, like all this betraying of their own morals. I was also talking about mega churches. Like I said, it's like a Ponzi scheme and everything. And then he said something about brainwashing. I was like, wait, this brainwashing thing is like we're not even experiencing it, not just in big mega churches, but we're experiencing it in the relationship with a narcissist as well. And I was like thinking in my mind, and so you know what? I don't want to make this video really, really long. It's already like way longer than it really should be. But I just want to say that, you know what? Yes, okay, we, not just me, but you all are much better than you really think you are. Okay. I'm not trying to like flatter you or everything, but that probably you just look down and you just look at the whole trajectory of the whole thing, you might realize that in fact you are actually the good person. You're the person with all those kind of things that the narcissist wants, but in fact they could never get it. Okay, so and I kind of realized it, especially because I was like doing this thing. I'm not supposed to do it, but I can kind of like know. I just knew it from those third person information, which I had to kind of like bar or cut out. And I was doing this thing on ChatGPT, trying to compare or to analyze the structure of the narcissist career path, like from, let's say, from 2014 whatever onwards all the way until now. It's like over the span of 10 years. Can you imagine that person has not had a real stable job in the same industry? So it's like from an animator in the USA prior to that, and then finally a teacher in like a private art school teaching animation and graphic design, and then after that, which is a very short-lived one, finally for maybe a few years as a chef in different cafe restaurants, and then after the cafe restaurant closed, down to being a receptionist in some fitness facility, and then after that making the way up to become a yoga instructor and a personal trainer. uh, in that same fitness facility, I was thinking, this thing is like, what ChatGPT gave me as an analysis was, it makes it very clear now that you've described this. Narcissists don't have a very consistent through line when it comes to their careers or everything. There's a lot of half baked lives. Then he said something about me. He said, but you are actually quite consistent, because he said, look at me. I tried doing this thing in the fitness industry, but it never really worked. It was just like barely 6 months. After that, I went back to my old career, teaching and everything. And of course, there are some, here and there are some bad experiences, like one tuition center which was really horrible. And I mean, I can now just spend more of time, as I mean, the 2 years limit has already passed, way past, but I don't really care anyway. So, but that said, I've been doing this freelance thing, the freelance tutoring, and then I've been getting back to lecturing as well. Uh, and I realized, the thing is I'm actually very consistent comparatively, and also doing this ESL teaching compared to all these people like the narcissist or whatever, that, or even that particular ex-narcissist abuser in my life. I'm very, very consistent. I have been in the same industry. I won't say I'm actually exactly always thriving, but sometimes I do get moments when I actually realize, I'm actually still consistently climbing up, or at least building a stable base. And I know that I will be in it for a long time. I knew it when I was doing this thing with the ESL teaching. I knew I'll be doing it for a long time. I started since 2018. I'll be doing it now till 2025. And I'll probably still do it. Okay, I mean, if I can sort of like change the timing as well, instead of doing it on Sundays all the time. But even then, it's not like a terrible thing, and I actually do enjoy my classes and everything. So it's not the same with narcissists. So I realized, you know what? I'm really enjoying it. People like me. My students like me. And my even in lecturing, some of my students keep on joining I mean, they go on to another module or class that I'm teaching. For example, my fantasy class students, some of them actually went on to sign up for my Arthurian Legends class, and then vice versa, my Arthurian Legends class, like maybe 2 semesters ago, some of them sign up for my fantasy class. So it really is actually a very encouraging thing, okay? And I really just think that is yeah, it's all this thing that I suddenly realized that I'm in not just my safe zone, but a zone where I can flourish and thrive. And that is not something that I think narcissists will ever experience. Okay, they kind of like, maybe they seem to thrive, they will get a temporary peak or win, just like the ex-abuser, like a win in some competition, whatever. But the point of the peak is always a possible point of another collapse, because once you reach the top, you gotta keep on keeping. You have to maintain with new wins or whatever. You can just like simply just jump up and stop it, and they do actually end up collapsing, because one thing is this: in some cutthroat industries and circles like bodybuilding and fitness, ultimately you'll be outlasted or outsmarted by some younger competition, and or even people who are just more likable. And the thing is, narcissists like this, they don't really have any kind of charisma. Okay, the charisma is very superficial, but it doesn't last very long anyway. So, and not to mention that that particular ex narcissist was so consistently enraged and jealousy when I'm around. Okay, it's like, what the heck? It's like they're not gonna actually end up like leveling up. Okay, any so-called glow up is just temporary, and it will fizz out. It's all like just a lot of bubbles. Okay, anyway, I'm gonna go and sleep because I think that I've out talked myself. It's way long. But have a good one, everyone. Okay, because one thing, I will just keep on repeating this: you are way better than what you think you are. Okay, you're not even that bad as much as what the narcissist says that you are. Okay, because to begin with, all these are probably their projections of themselves onto us. Okay, they do that all the time, but none of it is really true. And I had a joke once, that I was always saying, what they say about me. That was a meme. Okay, uh, none of it is true, because I'm actually way worse. It's a kind of parody of what people say about, like in the way of criticism. But you know what? We are way better than all this. Okay, we are above it. So yes, have a good one, everyone. Okay, I'm off, and good night. Bye bye.